So let's talk about Paris. It's a city with a story that's as rich and layered as one of its famous pastries. We're going to dive into how this global icon has been shaped by, well, more than 2 millennia of conflict, creativity, and constant reinvention.
This right here is the city's official motto. And honestly, it perfectly captures the one word that really defines Paris's story: resilience. It's this promise that no matter what crisis gets thrown at it, the city will endure.
It's a pretty mind blowing transformation, isn't it? So, to figure it out, we have to go right back to the very beginning, way before the grand boulevards and the iconic towers we all know and love. The story of Paris doesn't start with palaces or cathedrals. Nope. It begins with marshland on the River Seine. A really humble, kind of muddy start for a city that would become a global superstar.
And get this, the name itself tells you everything you need to know. When the Romans conquered a local Gallic tribe, the Parisii, back in 52 BC, they called their new town Lutetia. Even as it grew into a prosperous city, its name was a constant reminder of its swampy, humble origins. So, let's look at how this tiny settlement grew into something huge. It all starts with the Parisi tribe on a little island in the Seine. Then, of course, the Romans arrive. But the real game changer? That happens in 508 AD, when Clovis, the king of the Franks, makes Paris his capital. That just cements its political importance. And by 1190, you've got King Philip Augustus building fortifications, like the first city wall and the original Louvre fortress, basically signaling to the world that Paris was here to stay.
And that motto we talked about? It wasn't just for show. Paris would be tested again and again, becoming the stage for some of history's most dramatic and, frankly, brutal events.
You can see this pattern of survival is just etched into the city's DNA. I mean, think about the Viking raids in 845 AD. They sacked the city, but it was rebuilt. Then during the Hundred Years' War, it fell under English occupation, but it was eventually liberated. And after the brutal Franco-Prussian War, it gave birth to the Paris Commune, a really short-lived but incredibly radical revolutionary government. Every single crisis forced the city to adapt, to recover, to become something new.
But maybe its most radical reinvention, the one that really blows your mind, came in the mid-19th century. Emperor Napoleon III and this guy, Baron Haussmann, literally demolished the cramped medieval city to build the Paris we recognize today. It was a massive project with two goals: create a modern, beautiful capital with wide boulevards, but also make it much harder for revolutionaries to build barricades in those narrow streets. It was a total and very, very controversial rebirth. But Paris's reinvention wasn't just physical. It wasn't just about knocking down buildings. It also transformed itself into the undisputed epicenter of art, philosophy, and literature, pulling in creative minds from all over the planet. I mean, just look at this list. From the late 19th to the mid-20th century, Paris wasn't just a city. It was a straight-up explosion of creativity. Entire movements in art and philosophy were born in those drafty Montmartre studios and debated over coffee in Saint-Germain-des-Prés, with absolute giants like Picasso and Matisse leading the charge.
And the engine for all this incredible intellectual energy? It was the city's amazing cafe scene. These weren't just places to get a drink. They were these unique social spaces where writers and thinkers, people like Jean-Paul Sartre, Simone de Beauvoir, and Ernest Hemingway, could all gather, debate, create, and literally shape the future of Western thought.
So this just begs the question, right? Why Paris? What was it about this one city? What was the special alchemy that created this incredible gravitational pull for the world's most creative and revolutionary minds?
Well, it seems to have been this unique, perfect storm. The city's deep, deep history gave people inspiration, and its vibrant culture provided a sense of community. But the real secret ingredient? That was this powerful promise of freedom. The freedom to think, to live, and to create without compromise.
And you know what? That legacy is still so alive today. The modern Paris is still a dynamic global hub, and now it's facing the completely unique challenges and opportunities of the 21st century.
Now, here's something that's really important to understand. The historic city of Paris, with its 2.1 million residents, is just the dense core of a much, much larger metropolitan region. The whole area, the Île-de-France, is home to over 12 million people. That's nearly 20% of the entire population of France.
And yeah, it continues to be an absolute powerhouse. The region's GDP is the highest in the European Union, and it's where all of France's biggest companies have their headquarters. And culturally, well, its magnetism is stronger than ever. Iconic sites like the Louvre and the Eiffel Tower pull in millions and millions of visitors every single year. Okay, so we've just covered more than 2,000 years of history. What is the crucial point, the big thing to take away from the extraordinary story of Paris?
And we come full circle, right back to this powerful motto. Because this is what reveals the city's true identity. It's not the monuments or the art, as beautiful as they are. It's the relentless spirit of adaptation that truly defines Paris.
And that's the ultimate lesson from Paris. Whether it was facing Vikings, wars, revolutions, or the challenges of the modern world, its ability to reinvent itself is what has forged its enduring legacy. It really shows that greatness isn't about avoiding the storm, but about learning how to sail right through it. And that leaves us with a final thought. As Paris continues to navigate the currents of the 21st century, facing all these new economic, social, and environmental waves, its incredible history gives us a really powerful lens to imagine its future. What on earth will its next reinvention look like?